Welcome back to Believe 2024. This is probably going to be the second to last episode that I'm awkwardly filming in 2025. So, last episode of Believe, we were still in 2024, and I began my 2025 pre-prep mini cut, where I was going to try to get down a little bit. So I had a final runway to be in a slight surplus, but still being at a good body fat before starting my prep in April of this year. So we're coming off the tail end of that, and I'm going to update you on how that mini cut went. But I also just have a bit of reflection to do. It's been over a year since this offseason started. I got off stage, I want to say 19 November 2023, and now it is the middle of January as I record this, and I just finished my first actual intentional mini cut yesterday. So it's been a while. It's been over a year, and I only have January, February, March, and then we're off to it. So yeah, not basically just 3 months remaining. Geez. And as you know, my goal is to work as hard as I possibly can to make as much progress as I can as someone who's now been lifting 20 years to visibly improve my physique as I make my first true pro debut. Because my first pro debut was in the middleweight bodybuilding pro division at 2023 WNBF Worlds, where I placed 7th out of 9th, which I was ecstatic with. But now my goal is to try to really make the most of my first pro offseason and make my proper pro debut with a pro offseason behind me, an extended pro offseason of a full year off from competing. So how has it gone? I think it's gone fantastically well, but it still might not be enough, because while my primary goal is to just improve upon myself and get as close as I can to the asymptote, which is my full potential, I also have the extrinsic motivating carrot goal, which is just kind of the cherry on the top of my sundae, if you will, of trying to crack the top 5 at WNBF Worlds. And oh boy, if you watched 2024 Worlds, you know my work is cut out for me. Because as competitive as it was in 2023, the standard has only risen in 2024. IFBB Pro, drug-free classic physique pro, Inyang Babakar returned. He said, you know what? I did my thing. I competed in classic bodybuilding in the IFBB. I showed that a natural of my caliber can mix it up at that level in that division, but I want to come back and see if I can do what no one has done before and win WNBF Pro Bodybuilding overall for the 3rd time. And he did that. So he came back, he won the middleweights, and then won the overall in stellar fashion. So if anything, 2024 middleweights was even more competitive than 2023. So what's 2025 going to bring? We shall see. But it might end up being that a more realistic goal is placing top 5 sometime in my professional career rather than in 2025. But I'm not counting myself out. And I will say that I am extremely happy with my progress, regardless of my eventual placing. So what you can see on the screen right now is how the mini cut went. It started in mid-November, and I was 91.4 kilos on average. And I was talking to my 2 coaches, Brian Miner and Alberto Nunez, and they thought, hey, we'll probably need to get down to 86 to kind of get the conditioning we want. Well, I was sending them picture updates, a midway update, an update a couple weeks ago, and then this final update, and they said, this is good to go. And I was not telling them my body weight. So the prior update to this one, they said, let's lose 1 more kilo. And I was at 88.5-ish. So here we are, a good 1.5 kilos heavier than what we anticipated I would need to get to in the kind of condition that we wanted. Now, the goal of the pre-prep mini cut phase is to get down to a slightly lower than intended starting point than my actual contest prep starting point in April. So I have some time to be in a surplus, make sure that I don't have any kind of metabolic adaptation, diet fatigue, issues with low energy availability, and basically that I'm starting as lean as possible but not dieted when I start my prep in in April. So that's the goal, and I think it went really, really well. Visually, this looks like a complete loss of fat mass to get those 4 kilos off me. I really like how I tightened up, and visually, both the coaches and myself are seeing improvements in the posterior chain, in the delts, and the overall presentation of my physique, which I'm really happy with. The goal from here on out, I was essentially given permission to gain as much as 2 kilos from here to April. But it's not the goal to gain 2 kilos. I want to make that really important. The goal is to eat the amount that I need to train extremely well, to facilitate sleep, recovery, and good life balance. So realistically, I think what's going to happen is I will probably be starting prep maybe 1 kilo up from here, maybe as much as 2, but I doubt it. I will definitely be under 90 kilos when I start my prep in April. And we'll get into that process. What will prep look like in either the final installment of Believe, which will be next episode, which could also potentially be the first episode of my 2025 contest prep vlog. Not sure how I'm going to do it. Time will tell. So nonetheless, really pleased with how things look visually. And I also have some other metrics that I'm really pleased with related to in the gym. So when you've been at the game a long time like this, yes, you can see some visual changes. And yes, I have actually been able to increase my body weight at a body composition that is, actually measurable. When I've gotten ISAC skin fold testing done, I've been heavier with lower sum of 8 skin folds. And when I look at my body weight here at 87.5, I'm a good 1 to 2 kilos heavier than I've ever been looking this lean. So I wouldn't be surprised if my stage weight is closer to 80 or 81. And by stage weight, I mean my lowest weigh-in during contest prep. For reference, in 2023, the lowest weigh-in I saw was 78.5. And then when I had started eating up into Worlds, it was around 79.5 or so. And I'm not sure what I was carved up on stage, but nonetheless, that's kind of the metric I compare. Is what's the lowest weigh-in I get most depleted in prep, and then where am I at when I'm kind of out of that digging phase and I'm into a eating up situation, or I've had diet breaks after achieving the leanness we're trying to get. So if I'm up a kilo or more from there, or even the same weight but looking leaner, I will be a very happy man. Honestly, so long as I look better, I'll be happy. Stage weights, they only tell you so much. But I'm relatively confident, which is kind of crazy to say it, that I actually think I might see a higher weight. We shall see. The chips will fall where they fall. I'm going to be happy regardless because I know what I've done. But like I said, some other metrics of progress that I've been really pleased with have been gym PRs. So over the holidays, the AUT gym, which is so graciously free for sport and recreation staff and student members, was closed for a period of time or had limited hours. So I had to do a lot more training in my home gym. And I had not used my own leg press in months and months and months. And I actually hit a PR. I maxed out what I could fit on it. And that blew my mind because when it's a slightly unfamiliar movement, we know that we're not just seeing these rapid motor pattern adaptations. And especially when I had been doing a ton of leg press at home prior, the ability to hit a lifetime PR in that tells me that there's probably some positive tissue changes, if I can just translate that into a PR despite being a little bit unfamiliar with the movement. Additionally, I was doing hex bar RDLs, and I came back and did barbell RDLs once the AUT gym did open, and I actually hit a lifetime PR there as well, getting 10 reps at 160 kilos, which was also fantastic. I've also been hitting PRs on lat pull downs with various grips on the same equipment, and most recently, just a couple days ago, at the end of this 2-month prep, I actually hit a lifetime PR on incline dumbbell press with 44 kilos for 8 reps. So those types of things in someone like me who's been doing these same movements the same way, and if anything, making them harder, making sure the dumbbells touch my chest, using full range, and not training them as quote-unquote strength movements, but really trying to make sure that I'm getting the most out of them as a hypertrophy movement, indicates to me that things are moving in the right direction. So that's how things have been going. And the last thing I want to update you on has been a structural change to the way I'm training. I saw the writing on the wall that my training approach with 5 days of pretty hard training, the way we had originally designed it, myself and Brian, and I'd added on that 6th day on Sundays where I did some forearm work, some additional calf work, and some additional lower body and weak point work. It's still an easy day, but nonetheless, training 6 days a week, or 5.5, if you will, required some really monumental efforts on my leg days especially. 1 leg and arm day and 1 pure leg day, and even some of my upper body days. And I knew that that might not be sustainable, especially in the deeper, darker phases of prep when I was really lean, on low calories, and getting a lot of steps. So what I wanted to experiment with during this mini cut is actually increasing my frequency and potentially even doing two-a-days when my schedule allows to just distribute that volume differently. And over the holidays, while I was doing a mini cut, this was a really good opportunity. I leveraged the use of my home gym, and I was training between 7 to 9 days a week. Not days, but sessions per week. Now, importantly, I did not increase my volume, and this is not necessarily a recommendation for what you should do. I just found it was really helpful while in a deficit, getting leaner when I had the free time, because it made each one of my sessions much more easy perceptually and maintained a higher quality of training. So I've gotten permission from, and I've talked to Berto and Brian about this, of essentially taking the same program and just distributing it across more days and doing so in an intelligent manner. So one of the things that seems to be working very well is I will do quad work on one day, followed by glutes and hams on the other days, just alternating, and sometimes splitting that up from the upper body work that I have to do. And then my upper body training is essentially daily. And then some days I'm focusing much more on chest and back, and other days much more on shoulders and arms. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. Again, this is not a recommendation, nor is it an endorsement. It's just me stating that, hey, when you're trying to do what I'm doing, when you respond the way that I am, and you're trying to do as much as possible, and you're accepting the diminishing returns, and you're thinking about your recovery side of the equation, taking a hit during prep, you need to figure out a way to make something similar sustainable, or just reduce the volume. And I may very well need to reduce volume during prep, and that's fine. It's not like I've reset the amount of volume I need to do. I'm definitely doing more volume than I need because I'm trying to actually make faster progress, which is not always advised depending upon your situation. For me, we're giving it a try. I'm trying to speed and not get pulled over. But I need to find a way to where I can make this as recoverable as possible during prep, or something close to it. And probably the strategy I'm going to use is this daily training model, with sometimes even splitting up my session into two-a-days to distribute that volume in such a way so that it's not as challenging to get through. And it's made a really big difference, especially with achieving the same weekly lower body work, but not having it spread across just two massive leg days, but actually doing a little bit of leg work almost every day. So anyway, folks, that's the update. Next time we check in, it will be at the end of Believe 2024, which is actually going to be, again, awkwardly in 2025, where I show you the final product of what I'm able to do with these last 3-ish months of training before I start prep. So thank you so much for your support, for following along. And next time we talk, I'll be beginning a diet to get on stage for 2025.